Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Light the Void, and today I'm going to be bringing you a little Varian gameplay guide for you people. Specifically, the most hated, the universally hated and made fun of build, the Twin Blades build on Varian. Now I will be doing two more gameplay guides on Colossus Smash and Taunt, separately of course, each with a specific game, but this is basically mainly a follow-up to my complete Varian guide, which I posted a couple of weeks ago I think onto my YouTube channel. And you know, this time I'm just going to be casting and explaining the decision making and micro involved with Twin Blades. So as you can see, let's talk about the draft first. We have, I think Garrosh was first picked and Diablo was banned, so we have Garrosh as the first pick for the tank for the red team, and then Abathur was picked I believe, followed by Genji first pick on the blue team, followed by Greymane, Malfurion, and Dihaka and Stitchers I believe was last pick. And as for the red team, Ufa was third pick, Jaina was fourth pick, and I was in fact the last pick. So looking from team composition and making an assumption about the usual standard team composition, we do have a tank, we do have a support, we do have a main damage dealer, and of course I do have Varian and Abathur of course. As for the blue team, they have one tank, one bruiser, the usual Greymane, Genji, double assassin, and of course they have Malfurion, a very good sustained healer. But I think Ufa was a pretty good pick here, so let's actually play the game now. So you see Garrosh throwing Greymane back, and then Ufa following up with stun, but then Garrosh gets pulled by the Haka's tongue, and they didn't manage to get a kill there. But the main point of Varian is that I could have chosen Taunt, or I could have chosen Colossus Smash, but in this game I chose Twin Blade specifically because I thought it would be good here. Now, of course, if you want to play safe, of course you can decide to choose other specializations as well, but I feel like Twin Blades is actually the better choice here. So we see Dihaka lurking out. Actually, we were playing a little game here where we didn't actually attack each other because we couldn't see each other. So we were both trying to soak the XP, and we both just hid in the bush for the entire duration of time. But we do see that actually Stitches manages to get a kill on Jaina, probably by hooking her and Genji following up. But we do see Abathur, he's a little bit in an unsafe spot. As I was saying, Greymane is very good at PvE camps, and the reason we're still doing this little hide in the bush thing, and I actually thought Dihaka wasn't top because of that, but apparently Dihaka and myself are just hanging out chilling like brothers. But anyway, Ufa decided to go Holy Shock. It is a very good build for Ufa in this specific case, since Ufa can act also as a front line. But in any case, the only reason that why you equip Twin Blades in this kind of composition is, number one, Twin Blades actually provides fairly good wave clear, and secondly, their tanks aren't really that threatening. So for example, if Stitches had picked something like ETC or perhaps Johanna, that would have probably been the counter Twin Blades. But I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to do Stitches hook into Malfurion roots into Genji and Greymane burst, of course. But remember that with the recent rework of Varian, you can actually heal off the Q. So I missed the Q there, obviously very bad by me. But now we're level 4 and I'm able to get Twin Blades. So watch how I approach the battle. I don't just charge there and start attacking forever. In fact, the best thing about Twin Blades is that it doesn't need to really commit that hard because you have the movement speed from the Twin Blades of Fury. You gain movement speed. So look here, I just attack the Haka for a couple of shots, and you just run away basically. So you don't really need to commit. But getting Twin Blades at level 4 does in fact help with the early clear. So as you can see, the Siege Giants are not actually doing that much damage to the towers yet. In fact, they haven't even reached the towers, and Ufa is doing a really good job healing me up there. Of course, we do see the transition, the rotation from middle to the tribute, but because we have an Abathur comp, and specifically because of Abathur. And of course Abathur picked up the Adrenal Overload for the extra attack speed, so it would be very helpful on me, that's for sure. But as you can see, they have a moderate amount of CC, but it's not really enough to kill me per se because I have Uther behind me. But as Garrosh says, we let the tribute. It's a very wise choice by Garrosh, and instead Abathur and others just continue to soak. But as you can see, I'm just poking in and out, trying to find weaknesses in the opponent's movements. But if they don't have any weakness, then it's best just back out. And we're going to see tributes shortly spawning in the southwest corner, sort of, southwest corner. Anyway, Garrosh and his siege giants do manage to pick up the towers, which is quite good for them. But as you can see, Greymane and Malfurion are just hanging out here for some unknown reason. Greymane is going to half back and is going to rotate to the tribute very shortly. But look at what I said, Abathur can just continue soaking whilst we sort of fight over the tribute. And because Varian gets Twin Blades at level 4 now, you can sort of make up for Abathur's weak early game. So instead, I now actually have second wins, basically makes me have combat sustain, but as you can see, it's very difficult for an Abathur team to secure the early tributes. In fact, the best we could get is actually just to delay the second tribute, but delaying it wouldn't do much good. And as you can see, I'm trying to charge into combat. Uther's hanging out behind, not sure what it's trying to do. But as soon as we see that Greymane took the tribute, Garrosh just tosses me out instantly. Garrosh is a very good tank with Varian because of Garrosh's immense lockdown potential. In fact, he has quite a long lockdown potential if he manages to land his throw, his pull thingy, not pull thingy, it doesn't pull people, his stun, his Q, and if he manages to land his ultimate, the Warlord's Challenge, the 2-second taunt, then actually it will be pretty good. But as you can see, I'm actually clearing the waves pretty fast, and Dihaka is actually scared of me. Note that you couldn't really do this with Taunt Varian, because Taunt Varian will only charge in Taunt and do a couple of auto attacks, and Dihaka would just clear the wave. But with Varian getting Twin Blades early, he poses a more immediate threat to the enemy laner, whoever he's up against. And in fact, I think Varian can pretty much outduel any solo laner past level 7 when he gets second win. But anyway, we do see Stitches getting the beautiful hook on Jaina, but unfortunately he doesn't manage to get any damage dealt whatsoever. But then again, Greymane is going to back up for a little bit. Malfurion is nowhere to be seen. Malfurion probably just half back. And Dihaka, in fact, is continuing his Siege Giant assault. But I'm slowly rotating downwards. But it appears that my team actually got the tribute because Malfurion wasn't there. So I don't really rotate all the way downwards, so instead I head back to top lane and I just fend off Dihaka. Look, this is the strength of Twin Blades. You basically will outduel anyone in the solo lane, and this allows for good lane control. And I basically just cleared off the siege camp. Look at 2 siege camp that they got. They only took down about a tower and a gate, which is pretty good. And of course the tribute is going to be spawning pretty soon. So I decided to just clear the camp here and then follow up with the rotation to tribute. But of course, when Abathur does get level 10, he does have that ultimate evolution. And in fact here, let's talk about talent choices. So we see what most of the people are going for. I'm actually going for Warbringer. Now, Warbringer here is probably the best choice because Shield Wall really doesn't provide much in terms of gameplay potential. In fact, Warbringer is the much more valuable option. Number 1, you can chase down Greymane. Even with Shield Wall, you wouldn't really do much. And plus, Uther has the Divine Shield, so it would be sort of counterintuitive with Divine Shield and Shield Wall if I had gotten Shield Wall. But anyway, let's continue playing the game and see what happens. In fact, when you see me completing the camp, probably in quite an optimal time. It's about 20 seconds before the tribute, and the camp can already start pushing. And it looks like they also got their camp as well. But it looks like Uther's actually outdueling the Dihaka, because that does happen when you have a holy shot Uther. And indeed, if you look here, I'm actually charging in, but I'm not really committing that much. Ufa did land a Divine Shield, but at that split second, that wasn't that effective. He could have gotten a more effective Divine Shield. But anyway, we do see the Alpha clone on the Jaina, and look here, I'm just zoning out basically everybody here, and since they can't outduel me, I know that, well, it's going to turn out fine. But teamfight didn't really go that well, but it looks like Ufa's managed to clean up, and Jaina is going to run out of mana and run away from the fight. We do see Greymane trying to actually do something, but Greymane actually just gets absolutely butchered by Ufa, the Lightbringer. But the tribute is still up for contest, and Alpha is continuing to soak and push, which is quite good by him. And we look at the scoreboard, we can see that, well, Ufa has actually done a lot of healing, Alpha has a lot of soak, and Dihaka also has a lot of soak. Note that I'm actually not the one with the top experience, but I do manage to clear waves fast enough so that they actually don't pose a problem. And here we see Genji is going to attempt to try and clear the siege camp, but with the bruiser camp pushing in, this allows for ample opportunity. But it looks like the bruiser camp actually died too fast, so we couldn't commit to that. Initially, I was thinking of getting blast, and especially with the Abath hat, this really works very well. But it looks like Stitches actually notices it, and I think Stitches and Genji were both master players, so obviously they are very good at noticing whether I've gone. So of course I don't commit to the boss. I get dragged and stunned, but look here, the fight is totally going our way because Garrosh has locked down Greymane and zoned out Malfurion, whereas I zoned out both their warriors. That's the power of Twin Blades. If I didn't actually have Twin Blades here, it will be very hard to zone out both of the tanks, of course with Jaina's help. But I think we can probably say, if we go back a little bit, we can just go back probably like 20 seconds here. If we go back 20 seconds here, you notice that if I slow it down a little bit, I can't actually slow it down any further. But anyway, Jaina and I managed to zone out both their warriors so that both of the squishies actually are locked down by Garrosh, so it provides very good zoning potential, especially with Twin Blades, and with additional of the Abath hat, of course. Look, this is the value of Warbringer, by the way. If I didn't have Warbringer, I wouldn't be managing to dash in and out like that. Of course, Stitches manages to survive as a Stitches, and I simply just clear the wave here. But it looks like the third tribute is going to be spawning, and actually Garrosh does manage to stop Genji in time. Abath is continuing to push with Slocus, and Garrosh is going to attempt to secure the third tribute, but all in all, the Dihaka is attempting to stop Garrosh, but Stitches and Greymane are in fact rotating downwards. And this is actually one of the better positions for Varian. Look, the whole enemy team is focused on Ufa and Garrosh, and especially when you have Twin Blades Varian who can just simply charge in from this angle, and with Jaina's help they can help lock them down in this area. And with Twin Blades you can simply just keep chopping away at Stitches, Dihaka, and Greymane. Genji a little bit harder for Twin Blades to reach, but if Genji doesn't have his 2 frontline and he doesn't have Malfurion with him, then Genji is really limited in his potential. And the addition of the Ufa going Holy Shot makes him much tankier and much better in poking and healing up. And especially with Warbringer, I can simply lock down and completely decimate both of their tanks. So this is a very good position we are in. And of course, Malfurion and Greymane are going to start backing out because they know that they cannot contest anything. Indeed, I start to make a boss call, of course. And with the curse having about 1 minute, you could say that this is not a good play, but after taking the boss, we rotate straight to the middle fort so that the boss can go uncontested on their keep. So basically, if I hadn't went Twin Blades, if I didn't go Twin Blades, we wouldn't have been able to take this boss, because Jaina and Ufa and Garage simply do not have enough damage to take down the boss that quickly. And of course I managed to lock down Varian like that because they were horribly out of position. They probably thought we were doing our boss or probably some other boss, but of course we managed to clean that up. Look what I said, the boss is going to get a lot of value here. In fact, what it would have been better and for Stitches in Dehaka to have done was to actually clear up the boss, but it looks like Greyman's actually going to clear the top lane, I guess. Not exactly the best choice by him. Stitches does manage to get a hook on Jaina, but the walls do block it, of course. Greyman made a big mistake by not harving back here, I think. Especially with Abatha and his symbiote and the 3 lanes pushing. He should have defended his keep ASAP. And in fact, this boss is going to be at full health before the keep is taken down. In fact, Ufa is stating that he's running out of mana, but it doesn't really matter at this point simply because of the fact that Stitches and Dehaka have no dueling potential at all. They have limited amount of lockdown, which is based on the skill shot. And mind you, Genji does land a perfect X-Strike there, but notice that that Divine Shield again was probably a little bit, it didn't really achieve much, to be honest. But with the addition of Garage's lockdown and Varian's high single target potential, of course I do a little BM taunt there. Don't do that if you're not winning, of course. Of course I get rooted, but the fact is, what I wanted to mention, wow, those cape effects. Malfurion's E has a sizable cooldown, and Varian's charge actually has a 12-second cooldown if you didn't take Warbringer. So imagine that. That means that for every charge that you have available, if I didn't take Warbringer, Malfurion would already have landed his roots. But with Warbringer, even if Malfurion does root me, I can continue to charge back into the fight and take out all the squishies. Mind you, this is probably a little bit one-sided of game, but it shows the strengths of Twin Blades Varian, and especially against a tank such as Stitches with limited sort of limited peeling potential, shall we say. Stitches is not the best at peeling, of course. And of course we managed to take this game simply because Malfurion, he's just hanging out there. Genji can't really do anything, and we managed to take the game there and then. And Ufa, of course, is surviving with just that little amount of health points. But the team fights here were pretty good, and the main point about this to take away from Twin Blades is firstly, number one, you probably shouldn't hard engage unless you're confident that your team can win. So if we go back to some of the team fights, it's made quite certain that I think that Twin Blades actually is sort of like a semi-Sonya style. So in fact, Twin Blades can boss very effectively, which is something that Sonya cannot actually. And of course, Twin Blades has the very good added bonus of being able to constantly deal damage to any unit or hero that is not that mobile. And with the addition of Warbringer, Varian basically becomes a very, very mobile Genji. Nevertheless, even with Malfurion's silence, with Genji's X-Strike, with Stitches' Putrid Bile and Dehaka's ultimate, I still was able to survive because Ufa landed some pretty good Divine Shields and I didn't overcome it. Of course, you should never overcome it as Twin Blades Variant. That's actually one of the most important points. With the added movement speed bonus from Twin Blades, you should seek to only attack when you actually find a weakness in the enemy's defense. So, for example, I definitely wouldn't play Twin Blades like I was playing Taunt. You have to be a little bit more cautious with Twin Blades, but once you find the right angle of Twin Blades, it actually becomes very good. So here we see again that I find a perfect angle to engage from the back, and Stitches with his Putrid Bile active actually does not survive from my onslaught. Although I must say the double Jaina clone is very, very good at cleaning up these fights. It's actually quite insane how that works. But then again, let's just pause it here. The most important part to take away from this is that Twin Blades Variant works very well with a support that has very good lockdown, a tank that has very good lockdown, and ideally a mage, bursty mage in the backline, because bursty mage makes up for Varian's sustained damage. So Varian can continue to put out sustained damage whilst the mage can help him back him out on this. So of course, imagine if Stitches was ETC or if Stitches was Diablo instead. That would have made my life quite miserable. So the perfect time to draft Twin Blades Variant actually is ideally in the last 2 picks. If you're the last 2 picks, you can draft Variant as Twin Blades, and ideally you want a tank that has sufficient lockdown potential. So for example, if instead of Greymane, I had Greymane on their team, they had a Twin Blades Variant, that wouldn't really be optimal because Stitches has very limited lockdown potential. And if I were going Twin Blades, I would rather have gotten Smash instead to combo with Stitches hook. Additionally, Dihaka, even though Dihaka can clear waves in the early game very well, and he has a global presence, it's still up to the Twin Blades player to make the call whether to rotate to objectives, whether to defend the solo lane, etc. So the main thing to take away from this is that Twin Blades does have a substantial power spike at level 4, not really that substantial, but it allows him to basically put pressure on enemy solo laner whilst simultaneously not dying, because with the added healing from Lion Fang baseline, it really does make Varian's life much easier. Additionally, again, as I said, if you're lacking that jungling capability, Twin Blades is very good as well. As you can see, our team doesn't really have that great of a jungling capability. Varian would actually fit the build quite good there. And of course, the positioning of the blue team wasn't the best in the game, and they tried to sort of soak all lanes while doing that. Again, this Greymane probably should not have been staying up top lane. I mean, losing the fort is really no big deal at this point. You have to join up with Stitches in the Harkut to defend the keeps. So this Greymane definitely made a big mistake there. Then again, I couldn't say. But all in all, Twin Blades is basically sort of, if you take Warbringer, Twin Blades becomes sort of much more mobile Sonya in a way. He deals a reasonable amount of damage. He puts sufficient pressure on the backline, but he's not really peeling for his team per se. And he's sufficiently tanky, especially if you have a good support. So for example, a good support for Varian, for example, would probably be Ufa as well. Stukov is a pretty good choice as well. Stukov can silence and slow the enemy team so that Twin Blades can deal more damage. But this Stitches is really out of position. I'm really not sure what he's doing. Rewatching this replay, I'm pretty sure the Stitches was actually in Master League. So was the Genji or the Greymane. But then again, they didn't really make the best choices. This Greymane did make a good call. He attempted to assassinate Jaina, but unfortunately, he dove a little bit too deep. And this Alpha's actually been playing quite good, actually. If we have a look at this stat screen, we see that Alpha's actually been soaking pretty well. And of course, the most damage dealt is by Twin Blades, simply because of the nature of these team fights. These team fights have been really sort of drawn out. So the more drawn out a team fight is, the more value Twin Blades gets. So when you're looking for a good team composition, we already have enough burst with Jaina and Garrosh. Imagine if Jaina, if I went Taunt and Jaina tried to kill the Hark and Stitches, she simply wouldn't have enough damage. In fact, if I went Taunt, I would really only be able to lock down one target, and Jaina would try to kill Stitches in the Hark, but she simply wouldn't have enough damage. So in this case, Twin Blade's better than Taunt, and it's definitely better than Smash, because Smash is really it's really situational, and I could have sort of smashed Malfurion, but then Malfurion does have Twilight Dream, and Twilight Dream does make Varian's life, especially as a squishy Colossus Smash Assassin, very difficult. But all in all, this is a game where Twin Blade's strengths are demonstrated as the Warbringer and the lack of shield wall. It's not really a big deal, you just have to position correctly. In fact, if I had gone shield wall, I would have gotten much less value into this game in terms of lockdown and pressuring the Stitches, the Haka, and the backline as well. So anyway, we do see me taking the victory again. And that is it for the Twin Blades gameplay analysis today. And as I said, hope you enjoyed, and of course I say good shields Ufa, and Ufa does get MVP, but if you guys would like to see other guides for Varian, such as Taunt and Colossus Smash, I'll probably be making those in a couple of days, or probably next week or the week after. So if you want to watch those guides as well, I will be making them, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye.